So here we are again to carry on a little bit with the teachings that we gave a few days ago. We don't only want to look at being woke, you see, because when we talk about being woke, we are only talking about something very surface. We're not talking about how deep this woke or being awake really goes, because it's not only involved in doing social justice work or looking at a system and seeing the good parts and the corrupt parts in it. No, it is about going deeper into the great understanding of reality that exists not only outside of ourselves or in the writings of the great teachers and speakers and things like that. No, but deep within our hearts. And we, as divine and human beings, have the power to go deeper. On this video, we'll be talking about using our cognitive abilities, our thinking abilities to be able to go deeper. This is actually a type of philosophy or yoga that involves using the mind in order to understand things and to move one towards enlightenment and full awakening. And so we begin with something that we always constantly hear and things that we have arguments against all of the time if we have a false idea of what divinity or God or goddess or whatever you want to call that is. Many people say that they are one with God. Now, there is a lot of argument when people say that, especially from the Abrahamic tradition, where people often think of God as this big man sitting on a throne waiting for you to make a mistake so that he can either reward you or whack you or forgive you or do whatever the many things we learn that God is supposed to do in the many scriptures we read. Many people think of God as that way, as that thing, as a power over entity, one who is great and powerful because God has the power to condemn people, to tell people what to do, to make people move. And people do that. And so when we say we are one with God, people think, how dare you say that? You should be more humble. Because they think, you see, that one saying that one is God is saying that they have power over everything. They deserve to be worshipped and need to be worshipped. But that's not what people are saying. And the idea of God that I follow, and most of the religious people, the very religious ones, the founders of the religions and the prophets and teachers, they often do not view God in that way. The greatness of God for those people and for me comes not from the fact that there is some being forcing things to happen and going to whack us in the head. It comes from the fact that there is this loving, powerful creator, creation, whatever you want to call it, that gives life and force and love to the world constantly, unconditionally, regardless how we behave. And through this creative power, this being that some call God, even the worst tragedies can be changed into something that makes us stronger and more resilient if we are woke or aware. And so when a person says that they are one with God, then it makes a big difference, especially if a person is trying to live as an extension of God and bring forth peace and love and contentment and always giving. And that, I think, was the goal of the early Christian church, the Buddhist church, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, all of the religions, before the identity of and the image of these beings or this being they talked about as God shifted in order to be sucked in and recreated by whatever culture took it on and added its cultural elements to the true religion to create something else. And so a way of seeing ourselves like God or being part of God, even for those steeped in the idea of God being a man or some power that demands things, is by looking at the Buddhist view of the ocean. In Wan Buddhism, they talk about us being like waves rising up out of the ocean. We are waves, yes, but we are still part of the ocean. We rise up for a time and then we crash back, becoming part of the original source again. And that is who we are. We are not separate from the ocean. We are one with the ocean. And we just rise up because of disturbances in the ocean and we move upon the surface. And then, when our time is done, we return back to the ocean. We have never truly left the ocean. We are still a part of it, having an experience that is specific only to us and unique. And then we go back to the source. But something happens more than that, you see. That is a pretty deep understanding of who and what we are, but there is a deeper understanding that we must consider, you see. Because even when we go back to the ocean, during those times where we feel most alive and at joy and we feel connected to everything, or even when we're not paying attention, things go on. There are certain energies, certain powers, certain streams of thought and ideology that are always buffeting us and pushing us and causing us to move in one direction or the other if we're not aware, and we often follow those streams. These streams are thoughts, ideas, teachings that we receive from our society, our desires, the things that make us feel alive. They draw us, they pull us, they shake us, and they shape us like eddies deep within the ocean. These are the things biblically they talked about as powers, principalities, and spiritual wickedness in high places when they are negative. But these streams don't have to be negative. They can be good. They can take us to a place where we want to go. And these things can be spoken of as powers and principalities and people or objects or whatever. But in reality, they are just flows and streams within the cosmic consciousness, moving us in one direction or the next. And when we realize this, you see, we become surfers instead of those trapped away to be sucked out into the ocean where we would drown. There is a deeper understanding that comes to us eventually, and it can come faster as long as we can think it through and see it for what it is. Truth is, we are more than the wave. We are more than the ocean. We are water. And when we realize that we are water, we are closer to divinity. We are not the wave. We are not the ocean. We are water. And as we can sit in that place and remain water, we can sense all of the streams, all of the thoughts, all of the ideas, all of the different things drawing us and pushing us. We can sense them passing through us instead of moving us and manipulating us. And then as water, we decide which way we want to go, what we want to partake of. We don't ride the wave in order to get to the shore. We don't need to get to the shore. Instead of like a surfer who comes off to the land and who comes into water to ride that wave back to the shore, we are more like the dolphin who catches the wave sometimes and will actually body surf towards the shore, only to turn back and go back into the waves after it has had its joy and excitement. As a surfer, we do that. We are not beings of the land. We are the ocean. We are the water. And that is who and what we are. And when we meditate, you see, the reason for doing so is to realize that we are the water and to be able to sit, to feel, to hear, to know and experience all of these streams that are running through us and passing by us and wanting to invite us to join in. And these dreams are things that we've learned when we were very young, battles perhaps that we won or lost, times we have been put down or humiliated, the times we've been made to feel that we weren't enough or that we were too much. All of these streams, all of these thoughts, all of these ideas still alive in that deep subconscious are still there, passing through us, rushing through us, inviting us to be swept along with them. And we can decide to do that or not. And this power to decide, this power to choose, is what the awakened person says when they said, I am one with God. That is what one means. Because being one with God involves what the old apostle Paul said when he was talking with the brilliant people of his day, all the philosophers and people who talked about religion and many different philosophies and all kinds of education. And he said that the God that he followed was the one who was the creator of the cosmos and all things that exist in the world, and the one in whom we all live and have our being. This God he was talking about was the same God that the esoteric group, the Mayans, talk about when they say that all is God and God is all. Now, we could argue that that's not true if we want to go against the Christian teaching by the Apostle Paul. That's fine to do. And there are many other teachings like Buddhists saying that the whole universe is part of the universal mind that they don't call God but is somewhat equivalent, or the Taoists who say that the Tao is the mother of all creation and we move and live in the Tao. But most of the mystics, the philosophers, and the people who experienced, not talked about, but experienced the divine, give us the same message. We are not only one with the divine, no, we are one. We are the water. We are the ocean. We are the waves. We are all in all. And when we begin to accept that and to live in that and to breathe that in as we sit and meditate, something amazing happens. Our consciousness expands and we don't find who we are. We remember who and what we are, and we remember why we came here to have this experience. We remember that we came here to understand all of these streams, to resist some of the negative, to flourish in some of the positive, to bring our wisdom and knowledge and our greatness into this earth so that this earth that has been captured by powers, principalities, and spiritual wickedness in high places can be freed. For there are those who are so blinded and closed off that they think that this is all there is. And they think that the only way to keep the power that they have attained, mostly through trickery, is to keep us all trapped in limited understanding of the way the world is, keeping us trapped in little borders, not only borders known as countries, but neighborhoods, families, religions, all of these labels that are attached to us that bring about an idea of who we are, but at the same time close off the expansiveness of who we are. There are those streams that lead us in that direction. Are they evil? Are they negative? No. These ways of thinking, these ways of feeling, these ways of being are just natural. Just like certain streams and eddies develop in the ocean or a pond and move the water in certain directions. The only evil comes when the human being who has a choice begins to use these streams for their own benefit. And unfortunately, right now, we are in a world and a country where many people have studied through psychology and sociology and very religious techniques. They have studied how to manipulate people into closing their eyes to all of the other streams around them and thinking that they have a better view of the world than others by just looking forward, marching to the beat of a drum, ignoring everything outside of their experience or the teachings that come from false prophets or people who are constantly hiding the keys to freedom, trying to keep them for themselves while keeping us all as serfs or enslaved in many ways. This is the time for us to break free of that enslavement. And one way is by going deeper into the understanding of these little spiritual gifts or little spiritual sayings that have been passed out in the popular movements nowadays that don't really free us, but they make us think that we're free. They stop us actually from experiencing the things that we need to experience in order to be free. And so, as you sit, as you relax, as you meditate, I would suggest that you do not do anything. Nothing. Just sit there. Remember to breathe nice and deep. And relax with each breath out, breathing in. A nice full breath, invigorating your body, and exhaling and just relaxing. And allowing the thoughts and feelings, whatever they are, to just pop up. Don't do anything to them. Don't judge them. Just watch them. Just experience the feelings fully without grasping them, and let him float off. And do this during your time of meditation, and if possible when you're walking or when you're talking or listening to someone, just cut off a little part of yourself and observe. And you will realize, you see, that you are not the actor. You are that little part that cuts off and observe. And that will bring you freedom. And it will happen faster than you think. In fact, it can happen in an instance. Thanks for being with us today on this channel. If you haven't, subscribe and hit the bell so you can get notified when we put something up, and also look down below and see some of the other things that we're doing. Visit us at our website where we have a lot of free gifts, and we especially have a book we're featuring called Life, Work, and Spirituality. And in that book, it gives you the secret of how to use whatever job you have, especially the ones that you hate the most, to move yourself to a higher state of awareness and to improve your ability and your life overall. Thanks for being with us once again. Namaste.